Let me guess, you're shopping for a new lens for your Fuji X camera system and you're seeing some very confusing names with a lot of abbreviations. For example, the one on my body today is the Super EBC XF 56mm 1:1.2R, some weird 062. Very clear, is it? Probably not, and this is why he clicked on this video, and this is how it was to me when I was starting out trying to choose Fuji X lenses. Well, today I'd like to dive into a short list of the most common abbreviations that you will find on Fuji X lenses, and then hopefully this will help you choose the best one for you. I'll try to go in the order you'd see on the lenses themselves or online while shopping. So the first thing you need to take note of is whether the name starts with an X or a G, and this is very important because there are two different lens mounts. The ones starting with a G are designed for the medium format cameras, and the ones starting with the X are designed for the X-mount APS-C cameras. In this video I'll be talking about the abbreviations that you'll see on the X-mount lenses meant for cameras like the X-T3, X-T4, XH2 and so on. Basically any Fuji camera starting with an X in its name. I won't be including any cine lenses as that would make this video too long, and once you think you need a cine lens, I guess you probably don't need this video anyway. So these lens names will usually start with either XF or XC. XF being the higher tier products that are made out of the highest quality materials, and XC somewhat more budget products with a more plasticky finish. The XC models also don't have an aperture ring on them. The next part is going to be the lens's focal length, such as 50mm, 23mm and so on. Keep in mind that these lenses are made for APS-C sensors with a crop factor. If you're coming from full frame, you'll need to apply that crop factor, which is usually about 1.6 times. So a 23mm lens will have about the same field of view as a 35mm lens on a full frame camera. Regardless of what way too many people will tell you, APS-C is not necessarily inferior to full frame cameras, but since many of us still interpret photography from the relative perspective of full frame sensors, this is worth mentioning. The next thing you'll see is an F with a numerical value behind it, such as f2, f1.2, f2.4 and so on. This is the aperture. Generally speaking, the lower the number, the better the lens will perform in low light and the more subject separation or bokeh it will be capable of. Prime lenses always have one value. Zoom lenses sometimes have two values signifying a range, for example, f3.5 to 5.6. This means that the lens will have different minimal value depending on what zoom level it is at. Zoom lenses with a fixed aperture are usually more expensive. You'll also notice that lower f numbers also usually mean way higher numbers in euros or dollars. The next abbreviation you might see is R. R stands for ring, more specifically an aperture ring. The next thing you may see is LM, which stands for linear motor. It's the type of autofocus motor used in the lens. LM motors are very accurate and very quiet. In contrast, I have a Viltrox lens with an STM motor, which stands for stepper motor, which is also designed to be quieter and smoother. If there's no mention of a motor type, it's very likely a DC motor, which is louder and slower. Now, before you get worried, loud and slow are very relative terms, of course. Keep in mind that newer lenses will usually be considerably quieter and faster than older lenses as the technology keeps getting better and better. The next abbreviation you may see is OIS, which stands for Optical Image Stabilization. Many Fuji cameras have in-body stabilization, but this is extra image stabilization within the lens itself, something that is especially useful on longer focal lengths. Some of the more expensive lenses will also be WR, which stands for Weather Resistance. This means that they have extra sealing to help counter moisture and dust, but it's very important to keep in mind that resistant does not mean 100% waterproof or dustproof. You still can't submerge your camera and you can't keep out everything without failing. It just means that it's going to resist longer, which might give you more peace of mind if you shoot outdoors a lot. Some lenses will also have Super EBC or Nano GI. Now these are special coatings for the glass. Super EBC is used to minimize flares and ghosting, and Nano GI is used to manage, now hold on to your horses, the refractive index between glass and air. Don't ask me what that means exactly, you would need to ask an optician or a physicist. The last marking you'll usually see on Fujinon lenses is this weird O with a dash through it followed by a numerical value. For example, 62. This is the diameter you need to look out for when buying filters to match your lens. Filters are a big subject, and like many of the subjects hidden behind these abbreviations, a topic for its own video. I'm certain there's already many videos covering this subject, but feel free to let me know if you'd like me to make a video on any of these subjects. If you're into Viltrox lenses, which are often more affordable than Fuji lenses, you might also see the following abbreviations. ASPH stands for aspheric lens. A single aspheric lens can often replace a much more complex multi-lens system, which also explains why ASPH lenses are often cheaper than their equivalent focal length peers. ED stands for extra low dispersion. This is technology used to combat color fringing such as chromatic aberration, something cheaper or older lenses tend to suffer from. IF stands for internal focusing. In the old days, the entire lens had to move in and out to focus. IF lenses focus the lens by just moving some elements around inside the lens barrel. This is the case in most quality prime lenses. And there we go. This should cover the vast majority of abbreviations you might come across when shopping Fuji or Viltrox lenses. Thank you very much for joining me today, and if I missed any abbreviations, maybe there's a new one, just feel free to ask me down in the comments and I'll try to answer you as best as I can. I'll see you on the next video.